start with the show. So welcome to the 128th edition of airhacks TV, which is already crazy. It means we have 128 months of airhacks TV here. So let's start with the very first question. And the very first question is the cost estimation of Kubernetes. And I would like to take a closer look at the question, and I have to find the tab again. And and here it is. Open in new tab. Open in new tab. Okay. And Mr. Krizu says, this is the Christian Hummer. Okay, this is easy. From Linz actually says, "Hi Adam. How much cost do you plan for running a Kubernetes control plane on AKS? I think I remember something about 500 per month." Okay, Kubernetes control plane is just the plane. There is unusable. I mean, this is like, it's the option to start something, right? This is the plane. But isn't one AKS instance already a clustered control plane? No, we will take a look at this right now. And AWS pricing gives me 70 something per month for that. Could you please elaborate on this topic? So let's start with that. This is actually what I did before the show. And so first, if you have one cluster, you have to you have to pay 73 euros, and then you can start with playing, right? Or dollars. So it means with that you have the control plane of the EKS, but this is just the control plane. So in ECS it doesn't cost you anything. So it means it would be free. So what it means in this particular case, if we have 3 stages in EKS, you will have to already pay 210 euros just to have the cluster option in 3 stages. On stages I mean environments like development, integration, and production. So, and now what you will need is, you need a serverless solution or server full solution. So serverless is Fargate and server full is a machine which you provision. And you will have to pick one. So let's be fair and pick an ARM because it's cheaper. Number of one per month. And number of minutes is days, and let's say 30. Amount of CPU allocate, let's say 1 CPU, and amount of memory, let's say 8 gigs, which is nothing because you also will need the operating system, right? And let's say we only need 20 gigs of disk. So it will cost you 50 euros, but having a Kubernetes cluster, so we will pay 120 euros already per cluster, per Kubernetes cluster, to have one instance with 1 CPU and 8 gigs of RAM for 120 euros. And 8 gigs of RAM and 1 CPU, I think, is less than Raspberry Pi, I guess, right? So you will pay 120 euros for Raspberry Pi. 3 stages are 360 euros. But I would say to having a Kubernetes cluster, we will need to have 3 such pods, which will be 150 euros a month. And then it will be 150 euros plus 70 or 220 euros multiplied by 3 stages, which is reasonable, will be roughly 600 euros. So this was my rough estimation, about 500 euros. But of course, I mean, 1 CPU for an entire pod, it is not a lot, right? So I would say I would rather go with let's say 4 CPU machine, right? And maybe 16 gigs of RAM, because you need RAM for the entire operating system. And if you take a look, so now we are already by 460 euros plus 70, now I mean more than 530 euros per cluster, and multiplied by 3 would be the 1,500 euros. So I hope this is a reasonable calculation. Of course, you could say I would buy the instances 3 years upfront, pay for it. Then it would be roughly, if you're lucky, 2/3 cheaper, But this is exactly why you not like to run your software on-prem, right? Because you would like to go to the cloud to be more flexible. If you buy something in advance, the question is, then you bought in advance, then questions the cloud is less interesting. But still, you could do something about that, and you could also be smart in Kubernetes and use spot instances when you can run them really cheap, but you will have to implement the entire thing by your own. So and if you pick, for instance, serverless like Lambda, you don't have to do anything, and you can have as many environments as you like for free. And in most enterprise environment, it is just the cheaper and easier option to use. So, Krisu, I hope I answered the very first question. The next one is I am working on a Spring Boot project. Okay, so can happen. And I have an entity with an ID and UID. However, I find slower comparing to using long time, and long times are predictable. So what he's saying, if you use UID, the creation is slower, and you could use longs and increase the longs, but they are more predictable. So and now he asked me on my YouTube shorts is how I can use long as the ID type while preventing the predictability of IDs in API responses. So this is also my information that UIDs are slow, and it was slow. And in one project, I forgot which one actually, I also mentioned that UIDs are slow, and we actually measured the calculation of UIDs, and they are actually reasonably fast. So on recent Java versions, UIDs are fast. So, but they are not predictable. You're right. So what to do? You could use a native database stuff to create your UIDs. But if you really would like to have UIDs, I would like to use UIDs with additional value, with added value. And there's a cool technology I forgot to open to prepare, but I think they're called ULIDs. Let's see. Yes. And what ULIDs are, they are UIDs which are sortable. So this has nothing to do with the topic, but I would say if you say, UUIDs are too slow, there are ULIDs libraries, and what's cool is with ULIDs, they are random but sortable. So you can have, because UIDs are not sortable, but they are lexicographically, you know what I mean, sortable, and I will look at that. And there is one in Java somewhere, I hope, and I know it, right? So there is one called Hooksy. I don't know how good it is, and ASM, but this is an open spec how to implement that, so you can actually create your ULID by your own. It looks like this, right? Okay, and Crisis the Bear message retracted, which is either maybe a good or a bad sign. So if you try to hack us, it's a good, but it's a sad if you wanted to say something reasonable and it didn't work. Okay. But Crisis the Bear, this is already, an aggressive name, right? So, okay, so this is about UIDs. So my response is UIDs, Java UIDs, I think they should be fast enough. What you could also do, you can create on startup thousands of UIDs and reuse them on the fly. It will be harder in serverless, but easy in server full environments. So you could pool UIDs, but as I tried UIDs, it was maybe 10 years ago, and they were really slow. As I mean, if we measured, we saw that it was impact. And I mentioned, I forgot how long ago it was, and I mentioned it's in a project, and someone measured this, and they were crazy fast actually. So, okay. Hello everyone from Austria and all over the world, Vancouver and Crisis the Bear with retracted messages. I hope we nailed the UID. And let's go to the next one. And the next one is a really nice article from friend of the show. I interview Mr. Ballus on my blog, and Mr. Ballus is Bauke Scholz, and I think he's the most popular or famous Java Server Faces developer on Stack Overflow. And what he wrote an article about how to migrate from EJB to CDI. And I was asked in our Discord, airhacks Discord channel, what's my thoughts on that. Where I can ask questions, you can ask questions here in the chat, Nils. So just ask here, and usually what I would expect that you ask the questions in the gist. So what I do after the show, I create a gist for the next month, and you can ask questions. You can ask questions to the Discord. You can ask questions on LinkedIn and ask me, or you can ask questions whatever you ping me. But don't send me emails. This would be good because my inbox is overloaded already. Okay, so now I prepared for the show, of course, and I read the article actually, and it is a good one. So whatever you read here, it works. However, there are some use cases. So I used EJBs differently to the use cases from Mr. Bauke Scholz stated here. So and he says migrating. So he says, okay, you can do a lot, and you already see what I really liked about EJBs is you had one annotations, you put on EJBs, and you were done. So and now with the CDI, you can do this, but you already see you have the stateless, and you can of course use this transaction not supported. But I never did that. Convention of a configuration was do nothing, and the cool stuff was with add stateless. If you put add stateless, it was already required. It was the standard. So it means the annotation was inherited to all methods. So it was, convention over configuration, the Ruby on Rails idea, or what they said in the Jakarta EE spec, configuration by exception. So now the migration is, as you see, application scope and transactional. So what I will do, I will put the transactional here, and now we have already two annotations to think about. EJBs were one, right? So now the next one is asynchronous. Okay, asynchronous, I see this. You could put asynchronous, and this is a little bit more flexible than EJBs because you can combine asynchronous with bulkheads from MicroProfile, which gives us a bulkhead pattern basically, which was possible with EJBs, but a little bit differently. To have something asynchronous, you have to have beans with concurrency, bean concurrency, and you can use asynchronous. So it was a little bit different behavior, and so this is asynchronous with transactional. This would work. Startup singleton bean, so it worked like that. And in MicroProfile, you could use this, or you could use Quarkus proprietary startup. So it also works. So schedule, of course, you could use schedule here, and you could use the same with managed executor service with the schedules. As you can see, this is actually beautiful, and this is plumbing to achieve the same, right? This is more flexible, but this is beautiful, right? So we can actually say EJBs were beautiful, right? So now, so you could have the Jakarta EE 11 asynchronous at schedule. So I never used that. So, but you could use this. But having said that, actually, I would say the schedule completely died, because if you would like to do this in cluster, you have a problem, right? Because now the application server has to coordinate these schedules, and in the case of Glassfish, you had to have a table which was shared, and all the cluster servers coordinated via the table. So try to set it up in Kubernetes cluster, for instance. Lots of fun, right? You need a central database, and all the application servers have to coordinate it via the database. So what we do in the clouds is we expose an endpoint, and it is called, for instance, by event bridge scheduler. So this is the idea. Okay, so I have to say, in the cloud, I'm using a scheduler on my block engine, but usually in serious projects, I'm not using scheduler. to refresh the cache. This is why I use scheduler. And how about stateful EJBs? So stateful EJBs were actually a great hack because you could have inject entity managers with stateful session beans. All JPA entities were attached. And what it means, you could have a domain-driven design almost. Okay, but there was one thing which I overread, and this was pool, right? Pooling. So, and EJBs shipped with pooling. And I actually don't care about the performance gains with pooling. More like what I did, I used, for instance, NAS1 or GraalVM. And what I could do with EJBs is because EJBs were also single-threaded stateless EJBs. This was they actually stateless EJBs are very similar to AWS Lambdas or Azure functions. So what means is one instance, one thread. There will be never two threads in one EJB, which was great, for instance, for GraalVM and JavaScript, because you cannot share the context, JavaScript context. So what you could very easily do with an EJB, you could start in post-construct the JavaScript or GraalVM context, and it was your context, and it was never stale. Okay. Nils asked me about JavaScript right now, and what is the proposal of signals? JavaScript standard proposal that signals will become available as standard. So if signals are a standard in JavaScript, is a great thing. What signals are is, I would say, observer pattern. This would be right. So I would say for Java developers is observer pattern. And this will allow to be removed exactly. Yeah, Nils, whatever I can delete, I will delete. So I'm only waiting until, more stuff happens in the standard. So the plan is, of course, to remove the BCE, also to make it linear as much as possible. And I actually didn't want it to mention this because I had to do some research. But if you would like to have some drama, so Netflix plain JavaScript. So I try to avoid JavaScript this time. Netflix replaces React with Vanilla.js. And this is my expectation over time. So Netflix is the first. I'm just waiting until Facebook. I mentioned it several times. In one point of time, they will recognize no framework is the fastest framework, and they will also have enough capacity to move out of React to plain JavaScript. And so maybe the next time we can discuss this a little bit more. But it is interesting. I think I mentioned this several years ago. I expect it to happen earlier, but more and more companies are moving out of JavaScript framework, which is very, very reasonable. So now the next one, Carlos from Paraguay, pretty cool. So I'm just curious: is it now a warm or cold in Paraguay? It would be interesting to know. What alternative you suggest me to use jar signing? The question is why you would like to have jar signing, because jar signing was if someone modifies the jars, the contents of the jars, it was rejected by the class loader, and so you could just use jar signing, but I mean, is it relevant, right? This is the question, because if you are in Docker, you create your entire Docker image, and this you can have, and the Docker image is immutable. So it is regardless of what's inside, it is set in stone, right? If you go to AWS Lambda and you ship a zip, it is a similar experience. So you have versions there. So the question is why you need jar signing. And if you need a cryptographic, because I mean there are plugins, right, in Maven. So I think that you have the problem. The follow. You would like to have reproducible jars if you build your project several times, and you would expect to have exactly the same binary jar, right? And this is hard because there is a manifest inside. The timestamp can change. If you have such a requirement, there are Maven plugins where they, where you can achieve this, that you have just one jar, which is always the same if nothing changes inside, right? So, And now, Mr. Naderi, your question, of course, where are you from? Because now it is really curious. So all over the world already. I should talk about Jetty. Yeah, Jetty is a nice thing. And by the way, I met the Jetty committer or the OCX conference recently. And of course, I will ping him to have an airhacks FM. But what is Jetty? It is a crazy fast embedded web server. And I never used that because I never had the requirement to have a crazy fast HTTP only web server, right? So that's the problem. Cool stuff, not used by me. Why? Because I always preferred, fat application servers, or I don't know whether you can say fat nowadays, big application servers. And the big application servers, why? Because I was too lazy to create my own application server, so I downloaded something which worked. And the cool story, it was serverless for me because I never cared about the application servers. I put the war inside and it worked. So the Jetty thing is, if you would like to create your own small server, which, for instance, what can happen, I think with Jetty and with, okay, what I like is stuff which ships with Java. And I will try to find my GitHub account. This is this one. And I don't know why it is this way, but I created something and I don't like the name. So this happens more often, but let's see. It was like Java web server or something. Forgot the name. Java web server GitHub. This is this SO. So and serve and open. But as you can see, I hate the name. I cannot find it. So I will rename it soon to JH, Java HTTP server. And the only pity is I already recorded a video and the name is here. But I really like to rename it. And what it is, it uses the built-in, I can show you the code because just one class. It uses the built-in simplified server. And I can use it to serve my BCE design without external dependencies because this thing ships with Java. And which is actually pretty cool. And this basically it. So this is the entire code to have your own embedded web server. Of course, it's not as fast and scalable as Jetty, but it's good enough to have a simple server. And you can actually extend it. So you can have a servlet-like stuff. And I would say you can build with Jetty your own server-side rendering, which could be interesting. And on that note, there is an interesting project. I already see that. This will be longer show. I didn't want to talk about that. There is Quarkus Rock, I think, with Q. And what this is a static page generator, which, this is I am Rock. And what it does, you can have, what is static site generator? It is, a static site generator is the opposite to JSPs or JSFs because it only renders, you decide when the page has to be regenerated and not at every time, not at each time. Okay, what you learned now from Carlos, 35 Celsius degrees. So this is crazy. So I think I cannot compete with Germany. We have 3 today at the end. Exactly. Avoid modifications. So then what you can do if you don't like signing, you can create a hash from the jar and distribute both. This would be that, right? Hi, Paulo. I think Paulo is the first name, and Joao maybe or Jao or Hao Paulo. Hello. So you can ask a question because otherwise we are almost done. So okay. This thing will be news maybe next time. I will try to rename the thing and maybe I will name it JH. Rock is interesting, so you can take a look at this. I have something similar created for my blog, but what I just used is multi-line string and replace all. This basically works beautifully with Quarkus. Netflix moved away from JavaScript, and we already evaluated the costs. And I have Mr. Olowski, and Olowski asked me, have you ever experienced that there was so much data that faster internet connection was needed? Me going to update my company network to 10 gigabyte. Not in my office, right? But yes, one developer claimed that the AWS network was too slow. So something happens. And 10 gig, actually, it happened to me for very, and you are now, it was actually, it happened to me right now. Why? Because I'm recording the show here on a disk. And this is, this is 4K. So I think the final show is 70 gigs. And the disk is over network. And I upgraded this to 10 gig network to download it faster because I'm too impatient. So it happened in my company, and just because of you, because of airhacks TV. So otherwise, I don't need such a power. Mr. Krizu, you posted a question and you missed the show. So we collectively answered the question, and if you pay the license fee and give me your credit card, it will be available for you. But all others know already the answer. So we actually we spend a lot of time with that. You see, this is the cost estimation, and yeah, you have to short recap. The bare bone, which is not usable, it costs 70 euros, but if you add 3 pods, it is between 200 and 500 euros. Okay, pretty cool. So now, what we have everything here, and so how to migrate, and what I half forgot is the following. Tomorrow, I'm at a conference called JAX. This is a large conference in Germany. I don't know, between 1,000 and 200 attendees. And I will speak about 3 topics. And one is rethinking enterprise development. This is what we do here. Just, delete whatever we don't understand. Then one about pure Java LLMs, and the last one is interesting because I have also interesting news, which was fun to me. So this happens tomorrow. So if you see me at the conference, say hello, and you get at least a sticker, right? So now, what's interesting is 100 episodes back. So there was the episode number 28, and what I said back then is that I created a server from a part list, which is interesting because I'm thinking right now to create a new server. So I have my own server, not everything's in the cloud. And what's also fun is Oracle says it is committed to Java EE 8, right? So which was part of true, but they then, this is how Jakarta EE happened. This is part of the history. And then MicroProfile IO happened. And as you remember, maybe I couldn't understand why MicroProfile is useful, because at the beginning it was a subset of Java EE 8, and I was absolutely not interested in use it. But right now, MicroProfile provides additional added value to Jakarta EE. And also what I completely ignored is Wildfly Swarm. And the funny story is, in one point of time, I created an OpenShift tutorial for Red Hat. And I had the opportunity to talk to engineers. And what they told me is that they told me, hey, Adam, we're working on something and you will like it. And I say, no way, because I already know Thorntail, I know Wildfire Swarm, and they worked on Quarkus. And I had the opportunity to take a look at a Quarkus. And from the beginning, I said, this is going to be a bigger thing, because this is completely, this is like inverted application server. And this was how Quarkus started. So Payara Micro, the same thing. I was not interested in Payara Micro because I had the Payara Full, which was perfect for me. And the relation to microservices, yes, I never understood why we need Payara Micro for microservices. Having said that, in the next show, I could start the Glassfish, the new one, which is actually pretty cool. It starts in 3 seconds. So then, Vue expired in JSF, so it is out of date. JAX-RS clients on servers still up to date. So I get we are thinking, JAX-RS clients less so, but a MicroProfile REST client or HTTP clients. So is overusing CDI a code smell? And absolutely is. So recently we replace injected classes with plain interfaces, and because it was faster. And so message body writer and singleton challenges, no idea, but recently I had to use message body writer, so it's still a thing. And how to approach logging microservices, also interesting one, because what we do in microservice and logging, so logging became simpler. In most projects, we just use system out println, or sometimes, why? Because in the cloud, everything gets aggregated anyway. And if you have, for instance, AWS Lambdas or Azure functions, which are single-threaded, I mean, there is no issue with system out println. And and monitoring in Java EE methods is solved because we have MicroProfile monitoring or observability telemetry. Okay, now, this was news. So this was news. All the questions answered. All the questions answered. And then there is a workshop around the corner in December. And this year, no time for the airport workshop. I have to admit there will be 2 online workshops again, but we have to do something about it. I'm a little bit sad because I really like the winter market on the airport. But yeah, there will be 2 online. And now it comes what happened at Devoxx. So this was actually cool. So I had a chat with Stefan, and what Stefan Jansen said is, and by the way, I have nothing to do here with the statement glider here. So I'm absolutely innocent. I'm not even signed in, right? So just for the record. But at the Devoxx, so prior to Devoxx, I had a chat with Stefan Jansen, who is organizer of the Devoxx, and we had a chat about LLMs. And he said, "Okay, this will be an interesting topic. I have to propose a talk at the Devoxx." So I proposed 2 talks. One was about LLMs, and then for fun, the best of Java short show, 100 snippets. And so I actually apologized before the show because I said, I will just show you basically Hello World. And the room was full, completely full. This was a cinema. And if you take a look at this, it is crazy popular. There's already 13,000 views. So thank you for watching, and 39 comments to this show. And I got so many questions here. Now, where is the repo? Where is the repository? What I did is I created a repository because of the external pressure. And what I will do is I will post from time to time the most recent shorts here. And the cool story is I have roughly 800 shorts, and on conferences I show maybe the 100. I rotated them because there are lots of interesting ones. So it means for me, never-ending story, right? I can now publish, submit a talk at a conference, and it will be never boring. So this is an interesting side story from the Devoxx conference. Okay, I think we covered now everything. Of course, if you're interested, maybe also interesting, there is a podcast, of course. And was interesting story about JDBC and Oracle with Gerald Wenzel, and also from Austria, but he lives now in San Francisco. And what I was interested in proprietary Oracle features, and were really cool. But we had one chat about LangChain for J. Then, even more interesting, with not even more, one with, this was the Stefan Jansen one, what I mentioned right now, and with Jake. And Jake is the creator of JLama, and he was also at the at Devoxx, and with Alfonso Peterson, who created Llama 2. And the both JLama and Llama 2, if you have these, you can run your model inference locally without external dependencies. So if you're interested on it, listen, or I will also talk about this tomorrow. But we have to end here the workshop because I have to admit I have no slides. 3 talks, no slides. So at least you know some high-level slides. So yeah. Now, let's see what happens. Last questions. So I need to copy, for example, huge files from one repo to another. What do you recommend me to shift the task with some compression with Java? The question is, what is a repository? Because GitHub already zips that. If this is GitHub, I mean, the entire Git is based on zip, so there is no compression. And Orlovsky asked, do you have repos in the same cloud? It doesn't matter where you have it, because if you have in the same cloud, it is the question is in the same region. And even if in the same region, you have to be careful, because transferring files between availability zones can also cost you money. So yeah. But because Git is already zipped, of course, but I mean, if you leave, I don't know. So if it's Git, it zips. If it's not Git, then take a look at an algorithm, right? So which zips that. So using multiple protocols, for example, from FTP to FTP or SSH to SSH in different networks. Okay, then zip it. But there are, I think one is Snappy from Google, right? Snappy, Google. A fast compressor and decompressor. It was built for such things. But maybe what you can do, install Nginx or something and use built-in compression algorithms. Or this could work. Okay, as you can see, Orlovsky is already involved. So Mr. Carlos, please ask Mr. Orlovsky. And then, yeah, but if this is huge, zipping, you can zip to minimize costs. Right, I'm not sure whether it's going to be faster, because you will need a beefy CPU, right, which also costs money. Okay, I have to end here because I need some slides for tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm on stage and completely blank, slideless, right? Slideless on stage. So it was fun today. I think we covered lots of topics. So stay tuned. There is a airhacks TV. If you have questions, you can ask questions. And what I do, I also ask questions with shorts. You can ping me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Blue Sky, Discord, here. Victor, rsync, also great idea. Rsync, but Git compression. And I'm pretty sure that Git already uses internally exactly zip. Pack compression, and I think, but Git compresses this on disk. The question is, if this is Git and there's a repository, if you have access to the repository and you would like to zip that, right? This would be interesting. When you will post today's show, I hope tomorrow. But this is going to be more expensive, right? So if you would like to have the recording faster, you have to pay more, of course, right? For cheap, I would say early next year, expect the show, right? So not today or tomorrow, I guess. Tomorrow, maybe. So after the conference, I'm relaxed. So I will post tomorrow. No kidding. So on that note, thank you a lot. See you at upcoming conferences, means tomorrow, next month on airhacks TV, or on Discord or whatever. So it was always fun with you, and I'm really stunned that you come from all over the world, even from Austria, right, to meet someone from Munich. So thank you a lot, and bye.